What is going on, guys? It is Christ, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be a Slipknot video. It has been a long time since we have done Slipknot. I think, if I remember correctly, the reason I didn't do it is because I was going to react to their newest album, We Are Not Your Kind, but I believe the first episode got copyright blocked, and so I just said, I'm done reacting to Slipknot. Well, I really loved the record, and so this is something I've been meaning to sort of come back to when I started recording again, and so that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. This is the Chapeltown Rag, I believe it's called, and we're going to sort of look into a little bit of the meaning before we jump into the song. It says here on Genius, the song's lyrics center on the British serial killer Peter Sutcliffe, also known as the Yorkshire Ripper for my British friends. From 1975 to 1980, Sutcliffe attacked and murdered at least 13 women. He attacked and ended at least 13 weapons in the Chapeltown area of Leeds, England. The song also ties in with the current issues as explained by vocalist Corey Taylor. It's a Punisher man, it's classic Slipknot, and it's frenetic, but lyrically it's coming from a point of talking about the various manipulations that can happen when social media meets media itself, and the different ways that these manipulations can try to pull us in different directions, in the fact we're all becoming addicts to it, which is very, very dangerous, he says. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the song. This is the Chapeltown Rag. Okay.
Read all about it if you want to know. Read all about what they want you to know. Everything is gone online, and if this evil isn't this is now fucking trick. Either follow or abandon. Get infected by a vertical event. Take a meter, check your what. Are they ever gonna stop? Running out of data.
He's got some really nice rhythm here. I will say, the worst thing about Slipknot is their EQ. They could really benefit from a better EQ. A little bit of black metal sound there. I'm really surprised he's doing a cleaner post-chorus right here. Oh, chorus. Dang, this is really aggressive. I will say it's kind of a double-edged sword with their EQ, because you can hear everything very clearly, but at the same time, nothing has punch. Like, I would love for the bass to be super pounding, but it's just not. You can hear the bass, but the good part about it is you can hear everything. Ooh, okay, I like this breakdown. Ooh. I'll wait till after the song's done.
when everything is gone online. Nothing is. When everything is gone online. Nothing.
That's such a true statement. Okay, there's still quite a bit left in the song. They're gonna pull like a something out at the last second, or what's going on? I don't think so. All right, I got some thoughts to sort of say about the song. I will say the song was absolutely fast and furious. Um, really, really good showcase of their still aggressive capabilities. Which you'd be thinking, for their age that they would, potentially be slowing down. No, Slipknot is one of those bands that defies like time with their capabilities. So let's sort of just talk about the song itself. Um, I will keep saying this, and I say this every time I do a Slipknot video. I wish they had a better EQ. Um, I have some very good headphones, and almost nothing has any sort of punch to it. The smoothness of the distortion just doesn't really fit their sound. They really need that edge, that bite on the guitar that it just doesn't have. That's my biggest complaint with modern Slipknot's music. It was better in the first two albums. Volume 3 is where they started going in this direction, but everything before that was like super like it had a nice edge to it, has a nice bite to it. Slipknot obviously has a ton of bite, but I think the guitars could do a better job at what they're doing. That's my main complaint with Slipknot is their EQ. But there is sort of a positive to it in that you can hear pretty much everything that's going on. All the instruments can be heard. You can hear the kegs going. You can hear the toms. You can hear the drums. You can hear other percussion. You can hear the bass. You can hear the guitars. And so, in that sense, the EQ does end up working out. But I just wish it had a little more punch to it. They could put a little more focus on the low end as well as the high end. I think it's got a lot of mids and highs, but not too much of the low. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of that. Second thought: the riffs were absolutely ferocious in this song. There was so many headbanging sections in this song. Corey Taylor is still at the top of his game. I think he's like pushing close to 50, isn't he? I don't know. Let me look and see how old Corey Taylor is. Age. Yeah, Corey is 48 years old, and he is still able to perform like this, and it's just crazy. The drums were absolutely amazing. Like I said, music itself is a 5 out of 5. Let's sort of get into the lyrics and see what I think of the lyrics. I did have some thoughts about this, and it says, read all about it if you want to know. What does that say? Media tends to be extremely biased. It only tells you what they want you to hear, not what's actually going on in the entirety of the situation. This is so true, and I'm not just talking about um, right wing versus left wing. This is very much objectively true, and I love in the first verse he says, "Everything is God online, and it's as evil as it gets." This is absolutely true, in that people tend to believe their side, whether it's CNN or NBC or MSNBC or Fox News or other conservative news sources. They tend to believe what they say without question. And I'm not really gonna like explain my political beliefs, but you know, I've brought up something that maybe my side didn't want to hear, and I got absolutely ripped for it. And it's just one of those things where people tend to be blind believers of things, and politics really has nothing to do with it. A lot of people hold these media sources in this super high, almost infallible state, almost like a god. And so I totally understand what he's saying here. And then he says, "This is not a trick. Either follow or repent. No choice." And again, this is absolutely true, just like what I was explaining, where I, shared an uncomfortable fact that, other people on my side of the political spectrum necessarily didn't want to hear. And so I got a lot of flack for that. And so you either have to follow without question, or you're labeled as fake or other types of stuff. Like, I'm not going to get into that. What I'm trying to say is that this is totally the mentality of people. It is split right down the middle. We are the most polarized we have ever been as a world, and so I think that this is a very very relevant sort of topic to bring up. And he says, get infected by a vertical event. Check the meter. Check your watch. Are they ever going to stop? Um, this is, I believe, talking about just like social media in general. Always trying to be the best online. Always trying to get the most followers. Always trying to get. Um, always trying to be the center of attention. And he says, running out of daylight, nighttime is better, but we know how to handle the truth. Scandalous know-it-all feedback chamber. Nobody wants the proof; they want the number, and that's absolutely true. Um, and I already sort of explained that earlier, so that's very much true. And I will say Corey Taylor has very strong opinions on politics, and his politics are pretty divisive. Um, the heck, his politics are very divisive depending on what sort of side you fall on. But the man speaks a lot of truth. There are times where I don't necessarily agree with him politically, but he speaks absolute truth sometimes. And in this song, "We Are Not Your Kind," he speaks an absolute amazing amount of truths when it comes to the music industry, and that's what I love about him is he's so real. Um, and yeah, so it says, we don't deny what is wrong with our lives. We can't decide what is left of our right to silence our remains. What does that mean? Okay. And it says, this line takes a shot at cancel culture. As a celebrity who has been in the game for decades, you often have a past with mistakes and provocations that affected a certain community or the world, and that you have done as a young person. Absolutely true. I have said things um, that if people knew about, um, they would have a very different opinion of me. But then again, those were also like, things that were said years ago, decades ago. And I don't believe that someone should be held accountable for something that they said, 10, 15, 20 years ago if their life does not reflect like the way that they were back then. People change over time, and I think that cancel culture is absolutely abhorrent. Um, and I think that we need to do a better job at giving people second chances. And that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think of that. Once you are grown up, more mature, and you look back at them, you regret them. Absolutely. But cancel culture doesn't care and can reiterate the bad things you have done as a person you are not anymore. And I see this too. For example, I wouldn't necessarily call it cancel culture, but relentless mocking and bullying. I'm gonna bring up the example of Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. Everybody knows what he did. You're in the rock and metal community, you know what he did, um, and he is trying to put that behind him. And I think it's absolutely terrible that people would continue to like mock him and flame him for that. And there's other examples, some more justified than others. Tim Lambesis is a very divisive subject. I firmly believe that if he has done his time, now I don't think that he served a long enough sentence. I will say that for what he did, it should have been at least 10 years. But I think that if he has done his time, that he should not be held to that anymore, because the whole point of a corrections facility is to correct the behavior. And so I think that that's something that the metal community has a right to be angry at Tim Lambesis as well as Ali dying, but also not at the same time. There are others that have done way worse that are almost worshipped for it. There are a lot of black metal artists that have done a lot of terrible, violent things, and yet they are held on this high pedestal for it. So I think you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't look at him and with complete unforgiveness. Meanwhile, there are other artists in the rock and metal community that have done absolutely atrocious things, more atrocious than what he did. Arguably, what he did was terrible, but even more atrocious than what he did, and they almost are hailed as heroes for what they did. A lot of I hear stories of black metal. Um, followers torching churches and stuff like that. Places that are supposed to be peaceful and that kind of stuff. It makes me really mad. Um, but you just can't infringe on other people's rights like that. Anyways, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Um, I think I've sort of gone into enough of this song. Um, this very hot button topic for me, in case you couldn't tell. Anyways, I thought the song was pretty awesome. I think there was just a couple of parts where it sort of tied in with the killer. Um, I honestly think it would have done a better job had it just focused on the modern day topics and maybe did the Yorkshire Ripper for a different song. But otherwise, I thought awesome message, awesome song, pretty bad EQ. I'm pretty firm in that. I think that the EQ could be better. Absolutely. Let me know what you guys thought of the song. I thought it was absolutely amazing. Corey Taylor spoke a lot of hard truths in this song. Um, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time.